Hello, everybody. I just want to talk about my journey with the Bible. When I was baptized, I received the Bible as a gift. It was a King James Bible. I was baptized when I was 10. Um, and my grandma bought me a Bible herself, a King James also, which I still have. I got the cover. I got a lot to it. I try to, every time something falls apart, I try to keep it and just take it somewhere. I don't have the page she autographed, which drives me crazy. At one point when I was in high school, I tried to cover it, book cover. But I still had this Bible, and I still cherish this Bible. It was a gift from my grandma. And when I was in high school, I would read this. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. And you know how those videos be saying, while reading the King James Bible, it'd be like dripper, 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 dripper. And yeah, it was a lot like that because I didn't understand the words, the language, but I still read it. I read a chapter every morning when I was in high school. And it took all 4 years for me to get through. Some chapters I couldn't wait to get through, the chapters that like Psalms 23 and, when you get to Jesus and Matthew and Luke and stuff. But I read it, and it was a lot of gibber in my head, but I read and I understood the parts I knew. So fast forward to my adult years, and this was the only Bible I had. Well, besides the one I got for the gift for being baptized. And fast forward to when I felt my adult, I would go to church and the pastor would read. And I'm like, I can't understand the words he reading. My words is not saying it like his words is saying it. But then one Sunday he announced from the King James Bible, he said from, not King James, I'm sorry. He said from the NIV Bible. And I was like, the NIV Bible? What's that? I'm wondering what that is or whatever. And so, of course, I take a trip to the bookstore. And remember bookstores? Oh my goodness, I love bookstores. If you know me, you know I love the library, bookstores, whatever. So I take a trip to the bookstore, and I'm in a bookstore, and I said, they was like, can I help you? I said, I'm looking for an NIV Bible. And she took me to the back area, to this area. It was in the back. And it was an area, though. All Bibles. You talk about somebody in heaven. I truly feel like, oh my goodness, a kid in a candy store. I had to get comfortable because I knew I was going to be a while. I knew it was going to be a while. I'm just going through all kinds of Bibles. I was just so amazed. And I just was like, why didn't I know about this? How did I know about this? And, I picked me out an NIV Bible. I picked my daughter out. I only had one daughter at the time. I picked my Bria out a children's Bible. I was so in love. And I was so happy. And then I said, let me start my journey with reading the Bible again. And I did, I remember at that time I kept starting over just because of life, and I kept getting distracted and stuff. But when I had moved to Norristown, I always, that'll be a story for another time. I always call Norristown my desert experience. I got through the whole NIV Bible. And through the years, I had purchased myself, plenty of Bibles, study Bibles, purchased my kids Bibles, especially at different ages, and I purchased Bibles for other people. It had at one point became one of my ministries, my personal ministries, which I plan to adopt again, with, gifting Bibles. And I always used to like to go to the bookstores, and I would try to pick out a Bible, like for that person, But, so many bookstores are closed. But I know it's some left, and I just like the experience of going through different Bibles, touching and feeling, looking through them, But it's online, it's the online. The online is just going to be the online when I get back to that. But my all-time favorite Bible is the Bible Experience. I love the Bible Experience. It's a CD collection, and it's like they're reading the NIV Bible, but in theatrical form. It's just amazing. It just sounds good. It just really sounds like you can hear what's going on. I love it. I love the Bible Experience. That's my all-time favorite. That's what I'm going through now from beginning to end. That's what I'm going through now. There's plenty of verses in the Bible about learning the words. One of my favorites is Joshua 1:8. This book of the law, always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. And that's my journey with the Bible.